Hey everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're doing the third and final and official JAMSTEC summer forecast today for 2015. We're going to get 11 long-range seasonal models together and recap on Stuart Markham's fantastic analogues that we had last week, and put it all together. We're going to attempt to create a forecast for the summer of 2015. The past couple of updates, in terms of the models anyway, have been very mixed, painting quite a cool picture for the summer and also pretty unsettled as well. It'll be interesting to see what they're showing for the third update, whether there's been any improvement. Well, before I get on with that, just want to say about the ads. There's links to articles on all the pages at JAMSTEC.com. Have a browse through the widgets, any articles that you're interested in. Please click through. You'll be happy to pay for the website. Thanks very much for doing that. There's video ads on some of the pages. They open out within the content, and when you watch them, they'll close back up again. Thanks for getting involved. All these things are paying for the website. They allow me to sit here and talk to you via JAMSTEC.com. So thanks so much for doing that. Most of the links to the long-range models that you see in this video can be found on the links page, so if you want to check any of the charts out for yourself, you are more than able to do that by the links page. And just say, enjoy the video. It's going to be quite a long video, so you need a comfy chair and a cup of tea and a few biscuits, because it's going to be around sometimes 11 models to go through. But do enjoy the video. It'll be kept on the website indefinitely, so you can't watch it all in one sitting. Don't worry, you'll be able to come back whenever you want and watch the video. So let's get on with it, and we'll start off with the Apec model. The Apec is a collaboration of Met agencies in the Southern Hemisphere. I think it encompasses sort of the Indian Met Agency. I think the Australian is in there as well. Perhaps the Chinese, I'm not sure about that, Brazilian. So it covers several Met agencies, and they sort of collaborate to create, or they have collaborated to create this model. First couple of models we're going to look at just dealing with temperature and precipitation. So this one, in terms of the temperature anomaly for the summer, is showing ever so just slightly cooler than average summer here for the United Kingdom. It's not much in it, but it's around average really, but maybe just favouring on the ever so slightly cooler than average side. In terms of the rainfall anomaly, precipitation anomaly, coming out really average, I think there, not deviating greatly either in terms of wetter or drier than average. So the Apec is going for a slightly cooler than average summer with near normal precipitation. This is a new model that I just started using this month, and I did a video on it in the month. So don't want to dwell on this too much. We're going to look at the temperature and precipitation anomalies. It's from the GEM model. It's from the Canadian model. They've got a long-range version now of their model in Canada. We can only look at this in monthly steps. We can't break it down, unfortunately, into a seasonal anomaly. So I'll just show you the temperature anomalies first of all. This is how June is coming out. I hope you can see it's okay. It's coming out cooler than average in June. For July, the anomaly is coming out a little bit warmer, but only up to average. Certainly no suggestion of anything particularly warm coming through for July. And then as we go on into August, this is the temperature anomaly for August. Actually, we come out again cooler than average, so it turns cooler as we get through to August. That's a pretty dim summer being signalled there from the Canadian. Wouldn't be very good at all if that came off. Only July coming out sort of near normal, otherwise really quite a cool summer indeed. Now, in terms of the precipitation anomaly, and here we go, this is it for June, we're coming out drier than average in most yellow colours, so seeing a cool, dry June. For July, we're coming out dry than average as well, although it's a little bit wetter than it is in June, but nevertheless, we're on the dry side of the anomaly. And then as we go through to August, quite a change actually. For August, we see that it does turn a little bit wetter than average there as we go through into August. So overall, a pretty mixed summer being signalled there by the GEM. Certainly quite a cool summer. Nothing exciting happening with the temperatures, but in terms of the precipitation, dry for the first couple of months, a little bit wetter. I'll be talking more about the long-range model from Canada over the next few weeks and months. On to Japan next. This again is broken down into monthly periods, and again we've looked at this in a video earlier in months, so once again I don't want to dwell too much on this. Again, means, as I say, for monthly periods we can't see sort of a seasonal anomaly, but what we see for June is that we've got a bit of a trough in over the country, and the upshot of that is that the JMA is seeing a cooler than average month coming through, and the precipitation here is coming out near normal to a little bit wetter in the south and a little bit drier up in the north. If you saw the update that we did from the JMA earlier in the month, you know it's a disaster, absolute disaster of a run from Japan this time. So July, terrible. Look at that deep trough of low pressure right in over the top of the country. The precipitation anomaly, the temperature anomaly comes out colder than average, significantly so for July, and the rainfall anomaly coming out wetter than average for most parts of the country as well. So very, very poor July, even worse than June. And June isn't great, but July is absolutely awful from the JMA. And then going through to August, it's still the idea of a trough in over the country where it's moving more towards the south, but troughiness is still there over the country. The temperature anomaly again comes out cooler than average, so all 3 summer months are cooler than average. And the rainfall anomaly, it's drier in the north, but it's still wet down in the south. That's a terrible update from the Japanese model, and I'm not sure quite what generated this, quite what the reason was, other than I speculated when I looked at this in depth in a video earlier in the month. I did speculate that this was generated at the start of May, and it was generated in a time of transition from that very fairly dry and warm April that we had into a much more unsettled pattern for May. And I sort of suggested maybe the JMA, as it was generating this during a time of transition, was sort of running away and going over the top with the unsettled conditions. That's the only sort of explanation I can come up with this for what got into the JMA, what the problem was with it when it generated this forecast. But it is an awful forecast. If it came off, it would be an absolutely horrendous summer. Do we believe it? We'll discuss that at the end of the video. On to the Brazilian model next. This is for 500, bit of a height anomaly from Brazil. It's showing that we've got a ridge of high pressure out to the west of the country. The jet stream here will be going something like that. So it's not great. It's not terrible, it's not great, it's sort of similar to the type setup that we've had through much of May, actually, with high pressure just out to the west, jet stream coming through the country, so bringing sort of regular rain bands through and keeping the temperatures relatively cool, but not a washout of the summer, because the high pressure is relatively close out to the west. So overall from that, I would expect fairly reasonable summer. I mean, it wouldn't be a washout of the summer, let's put it that way, but it wouldn't be great, obviously. The flow would be generally from a northwesterly type direction, so it would be relatively cool, and that's what the temperature normally shows up, sort of average type temperatures there. And then in terms of the precipitation anomaly, again, it comes out near normal. It's difficult to decipher quite how unsettled this summer could be if a Brazilian model came up, but I don't think it would be a washout of the summer. The ridge would build in at fairly regular intervals to keep it dry. It just would be a fairly cool, fairly cloudy, not terribly exciting summer really. There wouldn't be a great deal going on if that is how things pan down. The Russian model next. These are the this is the temperature anomaly probability from the Russian model, and overall we're just there. Overall, we're coming out near normal. It's a bit warmer than average, being suggested anyway to the south, and a bit cooler than average being suggested up in the north. All of this cool here in the Atlantic is associated with the cool Atlantic Ocean. I'm going to talk about that at the end of the video. The rainfall anomaly from Russia is showing near normal, but maybe he's been a little bit wetter than average. But overall, again, no deviation, no great deviation there from sort of climatology. So generally, I think near normal conditions, really pretty much an average British summer, which, as we know, does encompass some warmer conditions at times, some brief heat waves, but also prolonged periods a pretty cool and unsettled and uninspiring weather. So that's the idea, I think, from Russia. So you already get the impression with these updates so far that there's no real suggestion for a hot summer in these charts so far. They're all a little bit mixed. They're not a disaster, other than the JMA, which is terrible. But other than that, they're quite mixed, quite cool. And no suggestion of anything particularly hot coming through. The JMA, though, is bad. Now, this is HVandon. What Who does is a little bit different. It's an American-based forecaster within the umbrella of NOAA, NOAA, in the United States. What Who does is he takes sea surface temperature anomalies from any given month, and this was generated in April. Takes sea surface temperature anomalies across the globe from any given month, and then from those sea surface temperature anomalies sort of creates an analog based forecast pushing forward, and from that we're able to decipher what could happen. So this is the 500 millimeter height anomaly from HVandon for the summer, and what we're seeing here is that we've got above average height sitting to the east and the northeast. UK is there. And Scandinavia is over here. So we've got high pressure sitting to the northeast and low pressure out of the Atlantic. The upshot of that would be to bring the winds up from the south or the southeast, something like that. So that means that the temperature anomaly that HVandon is seeing is significantly warmer than average. Look at this with those salmon pink colours. They're quite deep as well. So a warm summer being seen from HVandon. This is the first sort of indication from any of these models so far. And I say this isn't a model. It's actually been made up by HVandon. But the first indication that we've had so far in this update that we could have a hot summer or a warm summer anyway. And this has been sort of the indication from HVandon throughout the other updates that we've done. The rainfall anomaly is coming out near normal. Now notice it's wetter in the Atlantic and it's drier, if we go over there to this side of the chart, it's drier over here. So this tells us we've got trough in the Atlantic, we've got a ridge to the east, and that's the reason we could be looking at bringing up those southerly winds. So in between the trough and the ridge, we've got a chance of southerlies pulling up the air from the south of the continent. That gives us the risk of thunderstorms with the trough in the Atlantic, but it also gives a chance of high temperatures as well. So HVandon is different to any model that we've seen so far, going for a warmer summer, probably quite a thundery summer as well. Have a look at the NASA model next. This is the experimental forecast from NASA. 500 millimeter heights again, start off with for the summer. And it's, look at this, this is pretty good. It's showing a ridge in right over the top of the country, an area of above average heights. That's very, very nice from NASA. If we have a look at the temperature anomaly, a little bit mean with the temperature anomaly, actually. It's only coming out very slightly above average. But notice most of Europe being hinted to be warmer than average. And with that ridge of high pressure in over the country, with that area above average heights, I would expect it to be significantly warmer than that, to be honest. I can't see any reason why the temperature anomaly should be pegged back. The Atlantic is cool, but it's not cool enough to make up a difference. And if the ridge was in over the country as an anomalous feature over the 3 months, I think we'd have a warmer than average summer, perhaps significantly so. The precipitation anomaly is also rather strange. There we are just there. Now I want to go down and show you the scale. This is the scale just here. So green and blue, which is just there, is sort of hinting at slightly drier than average conditions, below average precipitation anomalies. And that's what we see. We see slightly below average precipitation anomalies. But again, if the ridge is in over the country, I would expect us to be going significantly below average with the rainfall anomaly. So I'd be expecting to go more towards the deeper blue scale there with that anomalous area of above average height sitting over the country. So overall, I think it's a decent update from NASA. Just being a little bit mean with the temperatures and the precipitation. It will probably come out better than that showing. CFS V2 next, and as we know, this one's always very erratic, but what it's showing for this month's update for the summer is that we've got an area of above average sitting to the east and the northeast, but actually probably only something like that, so I think it's just about going on to the warm side of the jet there. There could be a trough in the central part of the Atlantic, and we could bring up some southerly southeasterly flows, so probably actually this doesn't deviate all that far from what HVandon is showing, although this is an actual model, whereas whose forecasts are a little bit different. Temperature anomaly again is surprisingly cool, really, given the setup. There we are, just there, and we're only sort of average, maybe even a hint of being a little bit below average through the west of Europe. Warmer anomalies seem to be across central eastern parts of Europe as well. The rainfall anomaly is, there it is, it's coming out a bit drier than average, a little bit drier than average for North Europe, a little bit wetter than average for Southern Europe. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. We've got a ridge certainly up here somewhere, and the jet stream I think is probably going something like that. Some of the energy could be going down here, perhaps. That would be rather strange in summer for the energy to be doing that. I'm not sure why it's so wet down across Spain and Portugal. But anyway, it's going for a sort of average type summer again, nothing terribly exciting. But the 500 millibar height anomaly is fairly interesting, that ridge over Scandinavian. Again, from the 500 millibar heights, I would expect a better summer really than that is showing, certain terms of the temperatures anyway. UK Met Office next. We're coming towards the end, don't worry, just got another couple of models to do after this one. UK Met Office next. We see an area up above average height. This is sea level pressure, so we've got an area of high pressure there, above average height, sitting to the northwest of the country, to the south of Greenland. Low pressure is in the continent across central parts of Europe, quite unusually. Jet stream, I think, would be going something like that. It's rather a bizarre one, actually, from the UK Met, but I think the jet will be going something like that. So it could be relatively cool. Probably not all that wet, because we're being protected by this ridge in the northern Atlantic, but probably very often on the cool side of the jet. So tend to be a cool summer and fairly dry. You notice there's a lot of uncertainty and variation across these models of this summer. It's all very, very sketchy, isn't it, of what's going on. Not a great deal of help to me at all, I have to say. The temperature anomaly here is coming out generally a little bit cooler than average. So, again, I think we are looking at a cool summer if UK Met comes off. Though notice that most of Europe, most of Eurasia actually, coming out significantly warmer than average previous summer, and the rainfall anomaly, precipitation anomaly coming out near normal again, so not much help at all from the UK Met in terms of what's going on this summer. Beijing Climate Centre next is 500 millibar height anomaly, and we've got the below average heights in over the country, so this is going for an unsettled summer. And we saw it with last month's update as well, I think. We've got the ridge out in the Atlantic, well away from us, not able to do much. The jet stream, something like that. So it's a cool, unsettled pattern from the Beijing Climate Centre. You would expect the temperature anomaly to be cooler than average, as indeed it is. There we go, cooler than average temperature anomaly for the summer. And the precipitation anomaly is coming out a bit wetter than average as well. Above average rainfall, below average temperatures, a trough of low pressure in around the country. Obviously, it's going to be a pretty grim summer if that was to come off. That's about the worst we've seen back to the JMA. It's not as bad as the JMA, but it's on a par, or it's getting close to the JMA. And then finally, the JAMSTEC IOD, and this was going for a very warm summer last month. It's backed off that idea for this month, so we're back down, hinting to be a little bit cooler than average, actually, with the temperature anomaly. And in terms of the rainfall anomaly, again, it's hinting at being near north. What's going on there is that we've got a ridge up to the north. It explains the temperatures, again, ridging up to the northwest, very similar to the UK Met Office, with troughiness somewhere around here. And that has the effect of putting us onto the cool side of the jet, something like that. So it's a very dodgy update this month from the models. I was hoping for a clearer picture than this. The final update, I was hoping to have a clear trend, and we haven't got it. It's a very mixed update indeed. Stuart Markham's analogues last week were going for an El Nino summer. I'm sure you remember this if you watched it. It's on the summer page, by way of that update, if you want to go back and see it again. The idea was that the analogues were coming out very close to 1972 and 1997, and those two summers are sort of at odds with the temperature, because 1972 was a very cool summer. 1997 started off quite cool, and then turned very hot as we got through to August 1997, incredibly hot temperatures in that summer. And also there was a drying trend through both of those summers, so they both start off, 72 and 97, start off with a wet pattern June, and then turn drier as the summer wears on. So, again, a little bit difficult on the analogues also to come up with a forecast, really, for this summer, and difficult from the models. The general idea here through most of these models is that it's not going to be a hot summer. I'm sure you've gathered that nearly all of these models are, at the very best, just average in terms of the temperatures. Several of them are significantly cooler than average as well, and they're all a bit mixed, not a clear signal for rainfall, but all a bit mixed. So it is just to take the models on their own. I think you tend to favour a rather cool and probably quite unsettled summer, not a washout of a summer, probably quite a cool and unsettled summer. But I'm not convinced this month by these models, and I think it's probably going to be a significantly warmer summer than this is showing. So I'm going to disagree with the models. I don't very often do this. If you watch these updates regularly, you know, but most of the time I tend to side with the models, actually. But I'm going to go against the models, and I'm taking a gamble on doing it. But I think we're going to have a pretty warm summer. Actually this year. I'm going to go for above average temperature, maybe up to a degree above average. I think there'll be fairly regular push-ups in temperatures, fairly regular plumes, also perhaps say fairly regular heat waves, but quickly breaking down into thunderstorms. So a thundery summer, but also a warm summer type pattern I'm going. And I think out of that, only really HVandon is hinting at this possibility. So you could say I'm siding with Hug a little bit for this forecast. So the GasWeatherIs.com Summer 2015 forecast goes against the model output. It goes for a warmer than average summer by perhaps as much as a degree above average. Rainfall is very, very difficult with this because I think there's going to be quite a lot of thunderstorms going on. Regular breakdowns of sort of warm weather as thundery conditions push across the country. So the rainfall probably coming out average, but there will be a lot of variation within that. Some places could get really wet summer if you get a lot of thunderstorms. Some places, of course, tend to miss the thunderstorms and may have a drier than average summer. So near normal with the rainfall, but masking lots of variation from region to region, even town to town and village to village perhaps. And in terms of the temperatures, warmer than average, which goes against models. It's a gamble. I'm not confident on it. We'll see how it pays off when we verify the forecast at the end of the summer. As always with GasWeatherIs.com forecast, long-range forecast, we always verify them. I'll be verifying this to see whether the gamble paid off or not. So that's it. We're done and dusted with the summer forecast. Now we'll be moving on to autumn, and later on the blog I'm going to have a very quick sneak peek at one or two of the long-range models for the autumn of 2015. From next month, from June, that's when we will begin the autumn forecast. Of course, the peak of that will be in August. So we're moving on now. We're done with summer for these long-range updates. I've made a gamble, and we'll see whether it pays off later on in the year. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.